Alright, let's get ready to get cranky. Welcome back to Cranky Gamers. I'm your host, Kid Dog, and joining me this week, he's going to hit you for six. Sorry, hit for six, Mr. Toz.
That was a low one, that was. Okay, they lost 6-0, and yes, it's bad. But I'm here, guys, back for another week. But that's low.
Well, this is Kid Dog, and I am low. And speaking of low, well, here's another low blow. He's the man whose ass got whooped in a one-on-one Rainbow Six match. He's affectionately known on the Achievement Junkie message board as Meat Shield. Here's Mr. Falonzo.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Kid. I knew it would be something like that.
Yes, well, I've got to keep it entertaining somehow. Alright, and welcome to the show. Yes, you'll have noticed the new intro music, which is by a band called Top Johnny, and the song is called Kick It. So thank you very much for letting us use that. And now we're going to move on to what we've been playing this week. So Toz, as if we couldn't guess, what have you been playing this week?
Yes, as probably same as everybody in the world at the minute, BioShock. And actually, within the past 20 minutes to half an hour, I've actually finished it on easy. Basically, cannot say enough about the game. Stunning, as everybody has always said. It is simply great. I think I will go back and play it again on Mideon, but I'm going to have a break from it because I've been playing it for many, many hours. I think it took me about 25 hours game time. So yeah, I've been hammering that. I've played also the Tiger Woods 08 demo that's up on Marketplace, but there's more to come about Tiger Woods 08 later on. Played a bit of the DS as usual. And also my Dreamcast, and I've actually managed to pick up a PS2, so I'll probably be playing that this week to have a bit of a break from the 360. But yeah, that's about it. BioShock, done and dusted. Superb.
Mr. Falonzo, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I need to do an early show shout-out to Mrs. Lonzo, because I've been whining and complaining about not having BioShock for about a week and a half now. So she bought me a copy, which is fantastic. Thank you, Mrs. Lonzo. You are wonderful. So I've been playing BioShock. I started it last night. I'm not very far in. So, Toz, bugger off.
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, besides that, I've been playing some Pac-Man Championship Edition. Can't seem to get anywhere near my high score, which is disappointing, but oh well. I've also been, played some Gears, played a little bit of Rainbow Six, Be Quiet Kid.
14
Yes, I know. At least I don't play for Derby. Right, Toz?
Oh, thanks. It's a good show today. It's a good show already.
So other than that, I think that's been pretty much it. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't have any other systems beside the 360, so and my PC, but I don't really play PC stuff anymore. So yeah, that's it for me this week.
Well, seeing as I'm going to have to be the odd one out considering I don't have BioShock due to, well, having no money, I've actually surprisingly been playing my PS2 and I've been playing Tony Hawk's Underground Thug 1 and I've been quite enjoying that. And also on the PS2 news front, I did a swap with a friend of mine for 360 games, Burnout Revenge, Gears of War, Pro Evolution Soccer 6 and Need for Speed Most Wanted for, check this, 34. That's 34 PS2 games, and I'm quite enjoying that. So very happy. So it looks like I'll be playing some PS2 a lot just lately.
That's one hell of a deal. 30 games. Just one thing going back to your Tony Hawk's. As I said, I've just got a PS2, and I usually go to GameSpot and check their reviews to see what's the best games to get. And believe it or not, that Tony Hawk's game you've just been talking about got a unbelievable, for GameSpot, 10 out of 10.
I think that's probably down to it being the first Tony Hawk's that had a story line to go through the game, which makes it a lot more interesting, a lot more playable, and quite a lot of fun.
But
it's a bit of a... It's not a great story, it's not War and Peace, it's not BioShock, but it's a fun, and it just adds that little bit more to it.
Yeah, but
think.
GameSpot and 10 out of 10, that is not in the same universe, is it?
Don't forget, I believe GameSpot's changed their rating systems just lately, so probably wouldn't get that.
I've heard that today, that they're now going to round their figures off to the nearest 0.5, which I think is a bit silly, but that's GameSpot.
Yes, tighter than a duck's backside.
Correct.
Alright, now we're moving into the UK Top 10, and I'd just like to say I've been thinking about this feature, and it's a crying shame that copyright exists, because I think the perfect theme to have playing in the background right now would be Led Zeppelin's Whole Lot of Love, and I bet Toz is the only one that gets that joke.
I sure as hell don't.
we'll tell you that after the show. All right then. UK top 10 chart at 10. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End.
Good game. Not bad. Good graphics.
Would my kids like that game? We haven't even checked it out yet.
There's a demo on Marketplace,
there is a demo,
so you can always.
Might have to give that one a shot.
It's one of the best graphical games you'll see on the 360. Believe it or not, it totally blew me away, looking wise. And it's basically hack and slash. Walk, hack and slash, pick coins up, open doors, fight a few pirates. I think the children would enjoy it. Yeah.
Have to check it out.
Excellent. All right, moving on. Number 9, New Super Mario Brothers for the DS.
Still not finished this game, but absolutely great looking. The up-to-date new version and one of the best.
Okay, number 8, Mario Party 8.
No, I don't wait for me. It's unless you've got a family of about 15. I've never understood the Mario Party series ever. Definitely not a single-player game.
Family of 15. I'm headed that way. Family of 15.
Yes, with baby number 4.
Feels like it, anyways.
All right, moving on. Number 7, and one of Toz's personal favourites, Pokemon Pearl.
Ooh, the only thing that gets me about it is I cannot stand the fact that they keep bringing 2 of the same game out every year, and the same idiots keep buying the same 2. Sad. Not a bad game though. I did play it for about a week, but it just bored me in the end.
Is there literally no difference between Pearl and Diamond at all?
It's basically, you know the saying, you've got to catch them all. The only difference is that one version contains, I think I heard, around 10 or 15 extra Pokemon than the other version.
Wow, that's exciting.
And they charge you something. Yeah, they charge the same price for both games, which is an absolute rip-off.
But they've been getting away with it for years, and I don't see any sign of Nintendo stopping that anytime soon.
They're not going to stop, are they? No way.
Okay, number 6. Well, there's a surprise. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Warfighter 2, GRAW 2.
Simple reason that is in the charts. So I think a few of the online retailers have got it on sale in a sale. That's why it's entered in our charts so highly.
Okay, moving on. Number 5. In at number 5, an Xbox 360 exclusive RPG, but from the reviews and from playing the demo, I didn't like it. Blue Dragon.
It's been slated everywhere. It surprised me. This was one of the titles I was dying for when I first heard it. I'm a big RPG fan. I was looking forward to that and Eternal Sonata and Two Worlds. I've got a little bit of a story about Two Worlds that I'll say later on as well. But Blue Dragon apparently is terrible. Don't know why. It's just that every review that you read, I've give it a bad press. It's just not looking good. So how it's got to number 5, I do not know.
People probably not paying attention to the reviews. I'll say this, folks, it's got a mediocre story, and it's probably, the best way to describe it is a pretty much as a poor relation to Final Fantasy. So there you go.
I've actually heard it's better for young children.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's slightly too kiddie and not appealing to the mass market of the 360, but it's number 5 at the minute, so
must be doing okay.
Okay then, let's move on. Number 4, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Usual movie tie-in always gets into the top 10.
Alright, number 3, it's the other one, Pokemon Diamond.
Yeah, we've said enough about Pokemon.
Snore.
Moving on. Number 2, it's a shame he's still not with us this week. We must get him back on the show. Dorkfish's favourite, Transformers, the game.
The trailers look fantastic. The film was brilliant. But I've heard the rest of the actual game is very, very poor.
Like I said, shame we don't have Dorkfish and he could actually tell us. We'll try and get him on soon so he can actually tell us if it's worthy of being up there. Alright, and is it any surprise what the number 1 game in the UK is? It's BioShock.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Everything been said. The best game I've ever played. The only surprise, again, GameSpot have given it an absolute atrocious mark, but that's GameSpot again. But yeah, this is a game you must buy. An absolute essential buy. Even if you don't like first person, even if you don't like the kind of game, you have got to go and buy this game.
Now let me get this straight, kid. You don't have this, right?
Probably the only person in the world at this minute.
Yeah.
That was
Falonzo 14-0, Toz 6-0, Liverpool.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Hey, I can take it just as much as I can give it. Alright, that was the UK top 10 for this week, so let's hit our news stories. Alright, so we've talked about one RPG. Let's talk about one of the more anticipated RPGs of this year. Mass Effect has a European release date of the 23rd of November. So, Toz, are you happy to hear that Mass Effect's going to be released pretty soon?
Do you know what? Mass Effect, to me, are the big titles being bandied about this fall that everybody's been talking about and everything. I've got to be honest, I am not interested in it whatsoever. I know I'm a big RPG fan, as I've just said, but for some reason, it just doesn't grab me when I've seen the trailers. I know that they're saying it's supposed to have an awesome AI and a great chat system, but I don't know. I don't like this futuristic space kind of thing, and it's probably me. I probably will try it when it comes out. But yeah, I don't know why, but Mass Effect just doesn't tickle my fancy as such, no.
Well, I've got to say, are you a fan of the BioWare RPGs in general, or not?
No, I'm not. I can't say as I am, no. That's probably why.
Well, I mean, even though you're not interested, Mass Effect has been the recipient of more than 50 awards, including the 2007 Game Critics Award for Best Console Game and the Best RPG at the Electronics Entertainment Expo E3 last month. So it's pretty much anticipated.
Do you know when they give these kind of awards out? Sorry, Falonzo, I'll let you in a second, mate. But you know how they give these awards out? How do they work it out? Are the people that's giving the awards? Have they played the entire full game to a finish, or are they just going on a few movies that we've seen?
You know, I'm not entirely sure. That's probably something we'll have to look into.
Yeah, because I mean, I can't see how a game that is not even anywhere near coming out yet can start getting voted as, being superb. But yeah, Falonzo, carry on.
Well, I mean, speaking as a person that probably the last RPG that I played was maybe the original Final Fantasy on the original Game Boy.
Well, actually, I have to say, you've been playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance, haven't you? And that technically is an RPG.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm playing with my son, and he loves it, and I can get achievement points out of it, so it's good enough for me. But
you achievement score.
Yeah, pretty much. That's okay. I can deal with that. I mean, look at my games played, and you've got Cars and Aragon and stuff like that. So, I'll happily admit that I'm one of those. But, I've never been a huge RPG fan. To me, it's almost too much work. I mean, I like being thorough with games. Like, with BioShock, I'm excited about exploring and looking and checking, and I loved Crackdown for that same reason. But I don't know. It's almost too much damn work trying to go through and level up characters and make sure I have this armor, and I don't know. It's a lot of time. And I guess this will probably lead us into our topic of the day, but I don't have as much time as I'd like to have for gaming. So I don't know. I think the space tie-in with Mass Effect would be great. I think if anything is going to get me interested in an RPG, it's going to be something like that. I just don't know. I'm not real sure.
Well, I suppose it's fair to say that it's RPGs. You either love them or you don't. And I can definitely understand the time thing. Toz, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. Is it a full-blown RPG as such on the realms of, say, Final Fantasy, where it's a group and is it turn-based attack? Or, to be honest, I have not really looked into this game. I've seen the trailers.
It's not turn-based as you'd recognise, and it is a full RPG, but it's got like tactical elements and upgrade elements and stuff. So it's quite it's more than just your bog standard RPG.
Yeah, it's not really a full-blown RPG in the realms
it is a full-blown RPG, but it's got more than just that as well. There's more to it than just the full RPG style to it.
Yeah, and I guess
okay.
if something was going to get me interested, like I said, the space idea, but then also the fact that there is some combat to it. Like I played I think I watched somebody play a Final Fantasy like 8 or 9 or 7 or one of those on the PS2 maybe 5-6 years ago, and it just about made me want to fall asleep with the turn-based combat stuff. I'm thinking this is not exciting at all to watch. Okay, so and so gets this many hit points, and I don't know, just didn't quite get me going.
I think being one of many thousands that finished Final Fantasy VII, that was probably the first big RPG I ever finished. I must admit, at the time, I was a lot younger then, that I did actually enjoy it, but yeah, at the end it got very, very monotonous. I've actually toyed with the idea of getting Final Fantasy X, I think it is, when it moved on to that different attack system, the real-time attack system. That did look good. Never played it, never seen it, but yeah, the RPG single turn is very boring, and I think, to be honest, I think the technology's moved on now that I don't think you should ever see turn-based RPGs anymore.
You see, you have to understand that turn-based RPGs are the staple of the Japanese style RPG. Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, stuff like that. The non-turn-based systems that you're talking about are your Western-style RPGs, which are, your BioWare stuff, KOTOR, KOTOR 2, Mass Effect, stuff along those lines. Neverwinter Nights isn't sort of turn-based, but sort of on the back end, so it's not too bad. It's more dice system.
But haven't they changed? Sorry, but haven't they changed with the Blue Dragon one?
No, Blue Dragon's pretty much still turn-based or very turn-based-y system. Eternal Sonata isn't, I believe, a turn-based style, or if it's got a different kind of system to it.
Although it's got a mad story.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, and I think that's probably what might do it. Might make it stand out above the crowd. An interesting story. So, does anyone else want to say anything on Mass Effect, or can we put this one to bed?
I think we can put it to bed for me. I've done it. It's not. I must admit, it's not one I'm looking forward to.
Horse beaten.
All right then. Our second news story. Oh joy! I'm going to mention this game again. And it's not Guitar Hero, and it's not BioShock. It's the other one I'm really not looking forward to. And I'm sorry for the people that, if you like this game, fine. I don't like this game. Halo 3 goes gold. That's right, folks. They finally finished making the game. It's gone to be pressed. It's finally, after 3 years, it's now made its way out to the manufacturers, and we're hitting store shelves on Tuesday, September the 25th. So, guys, anybody excited about Halo 3?
As you know, I am not a big Halo fan, and I still can't figure out to this day why it's so massively popular that it's taking over the world. I mean, I can just add to the end of this news story before we chat about it with a slight news story that I was going to talk about, but I might as well just add it on now. I've received news today that with it coming out in Europe on the 26th, as we know, the day after, we've also heard today that a limited edition Halo 3 wireless controller will also be available, with the legendary comic book artist and Spawn creator Todd McFarlane as designed the controllers, with both the Covenant Blue and the Master Chief themes. So I must admit, they probably are going to be quite good. They're also fade and scratch resistant, and you also will get a limited edition Master Chief figurine in the pack, and that's going to retail at about $39.99 UK.
That's not bad.
No, it's not. Also, they are doing a limited edition Halo 3 wireless headset as well, on the same style, and that will be retailing at approximately $34.99 UK. And just on the end of this news story, I might finish it, not to do with Halo, but people will find it interesting. The fabled Xbox 360 Messenger kit, the little keyboard that we all saw when the spring update was announced, is finally heading to the UK shores, and that's going to be priced at $24.99, which I must admit, I think I'm going to buy one. It is, I didn't know this, it's backlit, apparently, automatic, connects snugly to the bottom of your controller, as we all know, and the microphone attaches as well. So that is probably a piece of hardware I'm going to buy. But yeah, they're released with the Halo theme, so let's talk about the Halo.
Well, actually, before we get to Halo, I just want to say something. I want to throw this on open to our listeners. Guys, our listeners out there. Does anybody actually use Messenger on their 360? Or are you just wanting to use this keyboard for when, a bit easier to type out a text instead of a chat? Is that... Because I cannot see the point of having MSN Messenger on your 360.
Well, there's a reason for that, and Microsoft have yet to address it. And obviously, if you've not got into it, you probably wouldn't know. But they've made the stupid mistake of when they actually created Messenger that everybody was dying for at the beginning, which I actually think is still a great idea. But they've killed it because the simple fact, you only can register your old email address. You cannot register a different email address. Basically, if you've had an old Hotmail address for your Messenger, You cannot register that with the Microsoft version. So there was people out there that couldn't register their proper email to import all their friends over. So when I signed up for the Messenger, I had to use my old sign-up one, and I'd got no friends in it because I couldn't match it. There was a way around it, and I did actually do it in the end, but believe you me, it was a hell of a job to try and get the proper Messenger signed up. I did hear at the time Microsoft were aware of it. It was on Major Nelson that they put it forward that it needs sorting out. But I'm like you, kid. I actually don't think anybody uses Messenger for this reason alone.
That's why
nobody can use their email.
Yeah, so our listeners out there, if you use Messenger, email in the show at crankygamersuk@googlemail.com and let us know. Ferg, did you want to come in on this one?
Yeah, I agree with Toz. I think it doesn't sound. I haven't tried it, and I don't really care to try it, to be honest, with the whole Messenger thing. I would probably use this, this little keyboard for messages. It's quite frankly a pain to message people with your with your controller. So I would use it just for messages, which would be a nice little addition. But it seems to me like the Messenger stuff that they've got set up really isn't very user friendly. And Toz, if you're talking about it's taking you all that work to get it figured out, and then you got to like switch friends around, and you got all these different lists. To me, that's just a little bit too much work for something that is actually supposed to make your gaming life easier.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I will be buying it purely for, like you've just said, the texting to friends. It is a pain in the backside to keep your controller going. And you know what? There is one thing that really annoys me about the texting, and if I had a pound for every time I've done this, I would be a millionaire. How Microsoft have not got a warning screen when you accidentally tap the B button when typing is beyond me, because it makes perfect sense that when you sometimes catch the B button and you go back and it's rubbed all your text out. I have done that 100,000 times. So why they don't put a message up for one, warning you, saying, warning, are you sure you want to go back? That's one thing they should add. But going back to the Messenger, there was supposed to be curing it. There also was a leak on the fall update that's coming, and I didn't see any sign of it saying that the Messenger was going to be fixed. I mean, the problem basically was you couldn't sign in, you couldn't import one of your Messenger sign-up names, and that was the problem. So it's easy to fix apparently. They won't let you do it, but they should do, because the Messenger, I honestly don't think it's being used by anybody.
Do you guys know, when did you say it's going to be released over there? The keyboard?
The controller, I did have the date. I think I saw it at about it's about September. It's very soon, about September the 24th.
I need to do some research, because usually you guys are behind us as far as releases with stuff, and I don't know that I've seen it here yet.
Yeah.
So
I don't think you have. I actually think that it is actually coming out in Europe first. I know that's an amazing thing. I know it's a massive shock to everybody, but yeah, I think we're actually getting it first.
Well, there is a first. Alright, let's move back away from Messenger, because a little bit of a rat hole. Let's go back to Halo 3. I know that me and Toz... Now, we're not criticising the game. Respect to that game that is going to break all records when that comes out. Isn't it? There's something like 1 million pre-orders already. That's incredible for a video game in this day. You wouldn't have thought that a few years ago. So, wow. Yes, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think it depends on your perspective. I think if you're looking at it from, from a gamer's perspective, it's going to be like kind of we are. Some of us are going to like it, some of us aren't. Some people would live and die by anything Halo, a novel or a book or anything else. But then you've got people that are just kind of like
Dogfish.
Yeah, exactly. Then you've got other people that are going to say, it's really not that big a deal, and it's okay. But then if you look at it from the perspective of just the pure business side of it, I don't know how. I mean, this thing's going to be huge. I can remember listening to news stories about it like 18 months ago, and it's just been fairly constant the whole time. So I think perspective's part of it. I personally didn't play Halo 1 and Halo 2 until this past summer. I've been way behind the times, and I've only played multiplayer a handful of times. So I'm excited for 3 because I want to finish the campaign. And I guess kind of, I don't know, skeptically excited about multiplayer because we all know how horrible that is, and the kinds of experiences that people have with multiplayer. I know, Kid, you've said that's what's kind of turned you off to it. So, I don't know. I'm obviously going to get it, and I think I'm going to enjoy it. I think primarily because if I don't get it, I'm not going to be able to play with anybody forever, I think.
Yeah.
I actually think, for me, for one, the multiplayer is a dead start from the off. I played the beta. It was a nightmare. It was absolutely horrendous because we all know how good some people are at Halo. I don't progress to be one of the best single first-person shooter players in the world. I'm not. I hold my own sometimes, and that's about it. But Halo, I think the Halo multiplayer will absolutely be terrible for probably 80% of the people that buy this game, purely because you've got too many hardcore players that will absolutely kill it. You'll get people playing with the friends, okay, fair enough. But as for the normal, usual jump in and play with anybody, I think that's a dead fish straight away. But just one more point. What I can't quite grasp about Halo is simple. I just cannot understand how it's got this runaway train to be this big. Because let's just step back and actually look at the game. It's a first-person basic shooter with a few weapons in space. And it might be just me, I don't even think the story's that good. And I just cannot fathom how a very, very basic single-person shooter, people out there are probably going apoplectic at this moment, saying, what is he talking about? But I stand back and look from afar, and I think it's a first-person shooter with an okay story set in space against aliens. There's loads of them out there. I just can't grab the sheer fact that Halo 3 is this animal that's taking over the world. And I just can't grasp it.
Oh, it's just a case. I think it might have been a case of the right game at the right time. For the Xbox, it did pretty much save the Xbox back when it was released. When it was that long ago. I can't remember why, but yeah, it has become a juggernaut. It is an official it is juggernaut from the Marvel Comics, isn't it? It cannot be stopped. There's no force on this planet that can stop Halo.
But why?
I don't know.
That's it. That's what I just can't fathom. It's a basic single-person shooter with a half-decent story, if you can call it that.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know that I can answer that question either. I like it, maybe better than you guys, probably because I'm new to it. I don't know why it's so big. You're right, Toz. It's not like it's really all that original anymore. Well, it's not all that original anymore. You know what I'm actually really kind of curious to see is how it does in comparison to Call of Duty 4 when it comes out. Some of the other games that people are seemingly getting really, really excited about. I'll be really interested to see some of the numbers come maybe December to see really how it's doing.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. I actually think that the games you're talking about, such as Call of Duty 4 and even BioShock now, even though it's early, I think the numbers, I honestly do believe some of these numbers will match Halo 3. I don't think it's going to be as high and mighty, and I still don't think it'll win Game of the Year either.
I think for the numbers, I will put my money on Call of Duty 4. I think Call of Duty 4 will do better than Halo 3.
I think BioShock will be up there with the numbers, I really do.
Oh, we will revisit this topic after Christmas and we'll let you know. Alright, Toz, have you got some news stories for us?
Yeah, I've got a couple of little stories. I'm going to start off for some PlayStation 3 news.
Well, hey, the PS3!
Yes, it's only small, but it's significant, I suppose, for the people that's out there that's finally, or do actually own one. It's to do with, I've heard today that Colin McRae Date is actually going for download on the PlayStation Store on just in time for the launch of the full game on the 14th of September. It's going to have 3 playable events, including crossover, championship off-road racing, and point-to-point rally. So, yeah, I can vouch that the 360 version of Dirt is a very good-looking game and a very well-playable one. So yeah, PlayStation 3 owners out there, grab yourself a demo very shortly.
Hang on. I want to say something about Colin McRae Dirt.
Oh, go on then.
They took the drifting out. How can you have a rally game without the drifting?
Yes, this may not be known to others, and I will actually be very interested to find out if they've fixed this for the PS3 version. As we know in one of our stories a few weeks ago, the PS3 seems to be holding up some very big titles because the programmers can't sort it out on the PS3, GT4 anyone. But yeah, if our listeners don't know, the day in this country, I am a massive, massive Colin McRae Rally fan. I've owned every single title he's ever done from the start. And basically, it's a rally game. You hit the drift, you literally do the opposite lock, and obviously, because you're racing on gravel, you skid round the corners, and that is part of the skill of the game. Now, unbeknown to a lot of players before they bought this title, sadly, Codemasters made an horrendous bug in the game that I actually don't think is going to be fixed and can't be fixed, where apparently when racing on gravel, and yes, I can vouch for this, it does, when you hit the brakes now on gravel, you don't skid, you actually come to a complete halt, which actually is ruining the gameplay a lot. There is a way around it. For anybody out there that doesn't know it, it is easy to conquer and still make the game enjoyable. I still play it and enjoy it. Basically, if you don't know how to control it, the way to skid around the corners now is basically let your accelerator off for a split second, a la Ridge Racer. We all know the drifting the way in Ridge Racer, where you left the accelerator off for a second, applied it again, and around the corner. This does now work somewhat with Colin McRae Dirt. It's not what it should be. It should go on the gravel properly, but it was a bug.
Well, yeah, I was just going to kind of, I guess, chime in on driving games in general. I think it's kind of difficult because you hear people talk about, is this one of those realistic physics-type driving games? Is this more of an arcadey-type driving game? And it's like with this specific issue, it seems like if past versions of the game have had, the drift, and that is, I think, like you said, Kid, kind of a major part of a game like this. It's kind of, I think they're probably trying to find that balance between, you got to find that balance between, the developers have to find that balance between, do we want to make this realistic and hard as hell, or do we want to make this so that, it's more accessible, everybody can play it, even if maybe some of the hardcore driving people kind of think, holy cow, how are you going to take this out?
Well, yeah, I mean, over here, Colin McRae Rally is a massive franchise. It has been for a long time. I think this actually works out at Colin McRae 6, in fact. The story over here, what the fans of Colin McRae, and I really do include myself as one of the biggest, that Colin McRae Rally 2 is still on my PC, and it's one of the first things I install every time I do a reinstall. And Colin McRae Rally 2 is the best driving game I have played on any system to this day. And what annoys the UK players is why, and this lights up their forums on Codemasters, you can go and check, 'cause I'm one of them. I've had a right go on there, where they've bought this beautiful looking game, and Dirt is an absolute fantastic looking game. They've bought it, why oh why can't they import their own physics that they had from Colin McRae 2, which were perfect? And if you can grab a copy of Colin McRae 2 on any system, go and try it, because the physics in that is spot on. And the big gripe over here was, why couldn't they implore it into this one? Because it would have made this game, I think, the perfect driving game.
Yeah, that's a good question.
But if nobody's got anything...
I was going to say, there's nothing finer than in Colin McRae to be going along. He's usually Greece with the huge drop-off cliffs, isn't it? Going sideways along a corner with a huge cliff on one side and huge drop one side and a huge cliff on the other, going sideways around that corner. That was perfect. I mean, and I do also have Colin McRae 2, I've just remembered, for the PC, and that's getting installed after this show, because I've got a controller, so it's going to be some fun.
I will also vouch for the Australia level. That's fantastic, because that's mostly on gravel. The thing about that game, what you feel, and I've yet to feel this in any driving game, and I must admit, I think some of our listeners have already heard me say that driving games are my favourite genre of all games. But on the Colin McRae 2, I've never had a game ever feel like you feel like you're driving. You know that feeling when you've lost the car, you know exactly you've lost it, you know you're going to crash. You also know the feeling of going round the corners correctly. It's just a spot-on game, and if anybody does want to try and pick it up, it'll be cheap on any system, I can guarantee, definitely.
Okay, got anything else for us, Toz? We better stop. Better stop gushing over Colin McRae because we're cranky. We're not gushers. We're cranky.
I know. I'm going to just do one more story, a couple of stories about this week's Xbox Live Arcade Marketplace titles, and a little bit of a story. Basically, I found out today that next week's arcade titles are going to be Cyberball 2072 and a Fatal Fury Special. Are coming out at 5th of September, Wednesday, as we all know, and will come out at 9 AM UK time. Basically, Cyberball 2072, I have never even heard of myself, sorry for that. The other title is Fatal Fury. Usual prices stand, but on the prices as well, hopefully some of our listeners will listen to this show if Kid does the editing pretty quick, that if you didn't know, starting tomorrow, Microsoft are actually holding a sale. And the sale is 4 of Arcade Live games are going on half price, starting at 12 AM Sunday the 2nd of September and continuing through until 11:59 PM on Monday the 3rd of September. The titles are Small Arms are going to be now 400 points, Zuma Deluxe is now 400 points, Gauntlet 200 points, and Dig Dug 200 points. So that is quite good by Microsoft. Me personally, I've never heard them done it before. Not been a 360 owner for very long, but they're trying to give us something back. Personally, I would have liked to have seen them do it across the board. Why they've picked these 4 games, I don't know. Probably because they're not selling very well. But yeah, at least a bit of a thumbs up to Microsoft, giving a bit of a price sale. But yeah, there's the next week's releases.
Talk about your backhanded compliment.
That might be the first time anybody's ever used Microsoft and sale in the same sentence.
Correct, because the prices, as we know, are truly horrendous, and I still moan why the hell we have to pay for pictures. I do not know, but that's another story. But that's the news for now. I've got a big follow-up later on to do with Tiger Woods 08, but yeah, that's the news from my side.
All right then. Now we've left the carcasses of news stories behind us. Probably infuriated some Halo 3 fans and gushed way too much over Colin McRae, and Toz giving away secrets of editing. Hopefully this show will be up by at least Sunday evening UK time. Let's move on to our main discussion this week, which is gaming when you have responsibilities. Now, as you know, with me this week is Toz, who, as you've heard him say before, has a family, and as we've made jokes and alluded to earlier, Falonzo has also have a family. So we've invited these two family gamers onto the show to talk about, what do you do when you have a family and you're a gamer? How do you decide to pick up that brand spanking new BioShock straight away, or do you have to whine and moan for your wife to buy it? Falonzo.
Yeah, that's a good one, Kid. Very funny. Never heard that one before. Yeah, oh man. The short answer is just don't sleep ever. But as we all know, that doesn't really work too well for most of us. So, yeah, as an example, like with BioShock, we actually went and got it on, I think it was Wednesday, and I just popped it in last night. So, that kind of shows a little bit of how it is to game when you've got a family and you've got responsibilities. You've got to kind of pick and choose your times when you can do it. Now, for me, specifically right now, I'm kind of lucky because my wife is pregnant. So she's usually in bed by about 8 p.m., which leaves me to play to my heart's desire and not stay up too terribly late. But it's challenging. I'll tell you what, I would love to game a lot more than I do. If you ask my wife and my family, I game too much, but I would love to game a lot more. It's just not realistic. It just doesn't work. Toz, what do you think?
Yeah, likewise, I will openly admit here that I actually, well, luckily or unluckily, I don't work, so I do get a lot of extra time. I'm actually got an old football injury that keeps me out of work, but that's another story. But yeah, regarding family play, I will openly admit here on the show that I probably play my computer or PC or basically what you can call it away from the family life a hell of a lot, probably too much. I mean, seriously, I mean, I might shock a few listeners here. Well, because as I say, I am out of work and I have to look for other things to do, I can probably stand here and say that I am probably gaming in one form or another or on the PC probably over 10 hours a day, easily, and that is a minimum amount, and that I know might sound shocking to a lot of people. I'm a full-blown proper insomniac as well. My body can actually get through with 3 to 4 hours sleep every night with no problems whatsoever. So again, I'm like Falonzo. My family goes to bed pretty early, and I find myself, I mean, as some of my American listeners from Achievement Junkers will probably know, will catch me playing in the very early hours, 3, 4 a.m. UK time. And that's constantly, I mean, I actually use that as a bit of an excuse, really. I mean, you know, I say to my wife, okay, you know, you're going to bed, I'll be up later, and I don't go. I mean, I'll even shockingly admit this. There are many times I don't even go to bed. I just go to sleep on the settee, and it's a very sad state, and it is. And I do feel there's probably a lot more people out there like me. But yeah, I game a hell of a lot too much. I know I do. But as regards my life, I mean, it's just the way it's gone. I suppose if I was at work, I then probably would not have the energy or the wherefore to game. But yeah, I am a gaming nut, and I probably, hand on heart, do play a hell of a lot.
Yeah, you know, part of it, like I'm a little bit like you, Toz, in that the career that I have, I work for the school system, so you know, in the summertime, I don't work. So obviously, coming off of this past summer, which is the first summer I've had my 360, I went crazy. You know, I played Halo 1, Halo 2. You know, I've got games on eBay. You know, that's probably the most gaming I've had for a sustained period of time for maybe 3 or 4 years. So you know, it's and the other thing is, like, you know, as I get older and my kids get older, and what I'm finding out, I used to be able to function fairly well, like you said, on about 3 or 4 hours, and I still do okay maybe the next day. But what I'm starting to find out is that if I stay up too late one night, or maybe even 2 nights in a row, I'm really going to be paying for it. You know, 2 and 3 and 4 days down the road, and so
yeah,
you know, I'm getting to a point in my life where I love gaming. I love, you know, I just love this part of it, but I have to be really, really careful. I'm trying to actually change almost like my lifestyle at this point, because I've been a night owl my entire life, and easily, you know, have stayed up, like you said, almost all the way through the night several times. And now I'm trying to kind of switch it around and go to bed on time and get up early in the morning, and I'm finding that challenging, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's worse from my point of view, and it sounds really bad. I mean, I actually sit and find myself not wanting to change, and I think that's even worse looking at it. You know, I mean, hands up to my wife and my child. I mean, my child's just getting into gaming. She's 9. She's finished many a game. She's even on Harder and Guitar Hero 2. But, yeah, I knew I'd get it in. But yeah, I mean, you know, I suppose you could say, my God, the man's neglecting his family. And I suppose I am, but the family life goes on around you, as you probably know. But I honestly, honest to God, do not think I could stop. And you know, you hear this thing bandied about, gaming addiction. And I sometimes chuckle and laugh. And you know what? I would stand and actually openly admit that, yeah, I'm probably an addict to gaming. And I mean that sincerely, meaning I would honestly die if somebody took my PC or my 360 away. I could not go a day, honest to God, without putting one of them on. It would be impossible. And yet, it's sad, it's horrible. But that's just the life I've had, and it's, yeah, it's horrible.
Now, I don't know if you guys and our listeners remember, it was a couple, I'm not sure if it was a month or two back, there was a story come out of America where husband and wife had neglected their child because they were absolutely obsessed with World of Warcraft. You know, you're not that bad, I admit that, but you know, this gaming and responsibility is a serious issue when you think, you know, you had 2 parents there neglect their child just so they could play. I think it was World of Warcraft. I'm sorry if it wasn't, but that's just a terrible, terrible thing to happen. And yeah. I want to say this right now: if you are playing video games and neglecting your kids, I do not want you listening to this podcast. I do not want to play you on live. I want nothing to do with you. That's terrible. We want nothing to do with you.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I mean, I honestly, I know for a fact that if I saw my child being neglected, I would stop. I'm not that stupid, not even anywhere near. And I think for the fact that my wife's at home most of the time as well, my child never gets neglected. Let me say that here and now, no way, and I would never let that happen. And I too heard that story, and I just find that amazing. I don't actually think it was World of Warcraft. I think it was another online game. I know it might be, I'm pretty certain it wasn't World of Warcraft anyway. But for a family to do that, I just find that truly amazing. Yeah, I love games. Yeah, I'm probably addicted. But I am human enough to realise that I do have a family, and there are things to do. But I would never let that happen. I think, I agree.
Like you said, Toz, I love games, but I love my kids and my family more. I have enough sense, or I don't know what word you want to use, but I'm aware enough, I guess, that there's got to be that balance. You got to find, how and when you can do stuff so that it's not going to negatively affect your family and your relationships and your work and whatever it is that's important to you in your life besides this hobby. Whether it's gaming or something else. You got to find that balance. And I think you hear those news stories about people that are neglectful or whatever it is, and obviously they can't find that balance, or they're not able to find that balance, right? It's difficult for me, and being a person that works with kids, I see what happens. I see what happens when kids do get neglected. God, we're degenerating into like a talk show about mental health issues. This is crazy. Let's get back to gaming.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to move it on and actually bring the family question round it. I don't know if Kid wanted to go this way, but I actually wanted to bring this up as regard this kind of subject. But I was going to ask you about how do you involve your family with gaming, actually into gaming? Do you encourage your children to do it? I constantly get shouted at by my wife, and I know for a fact from her family hate the fact that I'm into games. They just see it as a ridiculous old man playing childish games all day. Well, we all know that's not the case now. Gaming's moved on immensely in this day and age. But I was just going to ask you, do you involve your kids into your games, and do you allow them to play on their own, or do you police it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
How do you actually involve your family into games?
I actually have to chuckle a little bit to begin with, because the Xbox that we bought for Christmas last year was for my kids, and that's kind of the standing joke at my house. That hey, what are you doing playing the kids' Christmas present? So it's to the point now where it's kind of funny. But I think I've got an 11-year-old, I've got a 6-year-old, and then a 2-year-old. Obviously, the 2-year-old's not interested at all. Although when he sees the Xbox like symbol come up on a TV on a commercial, immediately he starts shouting Xbox, Xbox. It's great. It's really funny. It's very sweet. Mini Lonzo. With the 11-year-old, he's you know what? I hate to admit it, but he's me. He is obsessed. And my wife says this a lot. I have a bit of an obsessive personality anyways. So whatever like the latest greatest thing is, that's she says it consumes me. I don't necessarily agree, but there's a certain amount of that going on, and he's kind of the same way. The 11-year-old, if you let him, he could play games 24 hours a day and not sleep, and it would be really, really bad. So we have to be careful with him. But like I said earlier, we play Marvel Ultimate Alliance together. He totally loves. I got NCAA football 08 about a month ago, 6 weeks ago. He really liked that, so he loves it. The 6-year-old, she'd love to play like Barbie's Adventures and stuff like that, but she's just not quite as interested as her brother and I. But I try to get him involved as much as I can.
Do you actually let him play on his own? Do you let your children play on their own?
Yeah,
they give them a time limit?
Our daily schedule is a little bit interesting. My wife and I both work, so he comes home from school and he's by himself for a little bit. But the rule is he's got to do his homework. He has to play his trumpet and practice. He's got to do any of the other stuff that he needs to take care of. But then as long as he's done all the stuff, then he can go ahead and play. And usually we say it can't be more than anywhere between a half an hour and an hour. Usually on the weekdays it's a half an hour. On the weekends it's an hour. And most days, he does fine. That works fairly well. Like I said, he gets a little obsessive, and sometimes he wants to, play all day long, and that's not going to work. But yeah, we try to be really careful about, too much TV, too many movies. In this case, too much gaming. All those kinds of things. So,
I just want to ask, do you employ the parental?
Oh, the parental control
features of the 360, or?
I don't. I haven't even looked at them. No, I haven't even looked at them. I think more so because I have just a real hands-on approach. He knows that there are certain games that he's not allowed to go near. I have those games actually separated from his games. I've got the kid games in one area and my games in another area. So I'm much more hands-on that. As he gets older, though, I think I'm probably going to need to at least take a closer look at that and see how they work and see about how I can use them because I can see him getting sneakier and sneakier about it. How about you, Toz?
Yeah, I mean, I must openly admit, I mean, my little girl is she's got her own gamer tag, but it is parentally advised that she can't go online, she can't chat with anybody or anything like that. It's basically just so she's got her own gamer tag, so when she plays the games, she gets her own gamer score. That's pretty normal, like you say. But I have noticed with my daughter that she has actually played games, and you can see, standing back and looking, that she's totally obsessed with it. The only good thing that I see from that, she got obsessed by, I think she's got obsessed by 2 games, I think. She got obsessed by Lego Star Wars, where to the fact she was going on it every spare minute she got. She actually finished the entire game in less than 3 days. There was times where we had to, and it's the first time it's happened, and even I didn't like that, and I actually objected, where we was getting to stages where the food was on the table, and it was just a minute, Dad, just a minute, Mum, and then we had to stand up and say, look, whoa, and I said to her then, I says, I don't stop you playing games, I never will, but you cannot play it to this extent, and I have to try and explain to her, she's only 9, and I explain to her and say, look, the game isn't going anywhere, the game is always there, the time will always be there, but when there are things important to do, you do them. If you don't, I will stop you playing it. And she has got occasionally very overheated, very excited, and that's the time just to put a bit of a stop on it, and I do that. I mean, I'm also going to state another fact, as she grows older, I know it's sounding doom and gloom again, but do you know what, and I say this to my wife, do you know with the world in its current state as it is, where you can't go outside like we used to when I was a child. I used to be coming home from school, I used to open the back door and say, Mum, see ya. I'd be out the door, I'd be gone, and I'd be back at 9:30 at night. Now, in where we live, and in this day and age, I would never, ever let my child out this back door, ever, on her own. Now, and I always say to my wife when she's saying, oh, she's playing them games again, and I know what's going to come in years to come, where I'm going to say to them, do you know what? I would rather have my daughter sat in front of that Xbox 360 playing as many games as she wanted, providing she's not outside up to all manner of things that the world's got to offer now. I know it's sad, I know it's horrible, but I can see that coming. I mean, that's another point. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good point. I hadn't even thought about that. We try to balance in the area we live in. It's not too bad, but still, it scares me. It scares me, the things that are out there, the things that our kids can get into. Another point that I wanted to make really fast was, or maybe not so really fast, I don't know, I talk too much sometimes. I think one of the things as a parent you have to, especially as a parent who games, you have to be really, really aware of is the modeling that you do for your kids. And I'll give an example. We'll, kind of like the foods on the table thing that you said, Toz. We'll say, okay, it's time for you to turn it off. Xbox time is over. It's time to do this or that or whatever it is. And we get the just a minute. Hang on, I'm almost there. And the thing that I know for a fact he's gotten from me is the line that we get that he has absolutely gotten from me, probably word for word, is, "Hang on, I have to get to a save point."
Yeah.
And you know what I mean. And so, and my wife has been really good about, calling me on this and pointing this out that, hey, when you're playing and it's time to stop, or you've got to do a really, really good job of being aware of the messages that you're sending to our kids.
Yeah,
Because if you are giving me the, hang on, I got to finish, I got to sit, any of that kind of stuff, which as a gamer we all know you have to do. But
you do have to, yeah.
Yeah, but you have to be really, really aware of some of those nonverbal messages that you're giving your kids, because if you're not aware of that stuff, what you're going to be teaching them is, and I obviously have done this a little bit. Hey, finish when you're ready, finish when it's convenient for you, and that's not how things need to work when it comes to gaming, I think. So, Kid, what do you think?
I was just going to ask the question: how strictly do the pair of you enforce the age ratings? Do you not let your kids play anything that they're, that's too old for them? I should imagine you guys aren't letting your kids play BioShock, for example, or maybe Rainbow Six. But I just wanted, out of curiosity, I mean, this is just purely out of curiosity, how strictly do you enforce the age rating of the games towards your children?
To be honest, I will probably sit here and I will admit this openly. I actually don't. I don't let her play the games, but I've actually installed this into my child as well. I mean, my child's very high up in intelligence as regards to school, and she's 4 years ahead of reading. She's really intellectual, and I can see this in her. And I basically do not enforce any gaming holding back, as controlling what she sees. I wouldn't like to think that she was getting obsessed chainsawing people in Gears of War every day. I wouldn't like to see that. Yes, she has sit and watched me play it. Yes, she's chuckled and she finds it funny. As regards BioShock, she actually sat and absolutely loves BioShock. She got involved in when I was getting the little sisters. Oh, Dad, you're not going to kill it, are you? Some people out there might think, oh my God, he's a terrible father. But no, I look at it like this, and I'll stand and argue with anybody on this fact. I know that my child, although she's 9, is intellectual enough to know it is a game. I honestly have yet to see a game anywhere, probably with the exception of Manhunt, as we all know that is the subject of the year. I have yet to see a game that I would honestly sit there and say, no way can my child see that, for the simple reason, my child is intellectual enough. She sits there, she laughs, she chuckles, we talk about it, because I know, and she knows, it's a game. You're not going to go outside and saw some guy's head off. So all you game haters out there who dream these pathetic, he killed so-and-so because he saw it in a game. Yeah, Jack Thompson,
Dr.
exactly.
Phil,
it's absolute
to name a few.
BS. Yeah, to be honest, it's BS. I've got a 9-year-old child here that will sit with any psychologist you could throw at him, and she will sit and tell you it's a game, it's a computer game, it's graphics. I mean, I don't know if you think the same, Falonzo, but I'm big on that. I don't mind her sit watching it. She understands it fully to me, so yeah, people might disagree. But no, I don't hold any enforcement, except unless it's really, really bad.
Yeah, you know what? I actually, again, it's back to that perspectives thing. As a father who's a gamer, I look at it one way, but then also as a professional that works with kids, I look at it a little bit differently. I don't. This is how I enforce it. If the game is, and it's so subjective, anyways. If the game's violent, well, what does violent mean, right? So if it's violent enough, if in my opinion, the images are things that are a little sketchy for my kids, I'll just wait until they go to bed and I'll play them then, and that's fine, and it's no big deal, and they know that this is an adult game, and it's not that big a deal. And at first, as you were talking, Toz, I was starting to think, oh, this is a little scary, and not that I'm one of those guys, because I'm certainly not. I know the difference. It's a game and all that kind of stuff. But then I started thinking, you know what? The difference is here between the situation that you're describing with you and your daughter, and the situation that all of these other, people are talking about with gamers who go out and kill, all that stuff. The difference is you're there and you're giving direct supervision, and you're discussing it, and you're talking about it, and you're having an interaction with your daughter about it. And I think as a parent, when it comes to issues like gaming, or if you're going to talk about drug use, or if you're going to talk about whatever it is, the biggest difference that we need to be making with our kids is we need to have that direct contact and that interaction and discuss stuff. The thing that I would be most afraid of, when I'm an old man and I'm looking back at my kids and did I do a good job, the thing I would hate the most is if I could say, if I looked at my kids and I said, my kids couldn't talk to me about stuff. If my kids avoided me or they were, scared to ask a question or they didn't think they could be honest, that would terrify me as a parent. That would make me feel like I was not a good parent at all. So to me, I think, as long as you've got that direct supervision, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, that is exactly right. I was going to go on to say, as regarding that, I mean, you probably feel exactly the same as me, that you can spot how your child is reacting to the games on the screen. You can see what her reactions are in everyday life. If I thought for 1 second my child watching me play games was affecting her life around her by her interactions with, say, other children or with what games she plays, I would stop it immediately, and I would have done straight away. But like you've just said, it's a topic you talk about, we discuss it, and we do. And I know for a fact my child is intellectual enough that it is a computer game. You're playing a game to finish a game, in any which way you can. And like I say, if I spotted for one instance, and I even see it now, she's got a Game Boy. I've got all the games you can get on the Game Boy, on the DS, sorry. She doesn't want to play any violent games. She doesn't say to me, Dad, put me Gears of War and I want to play it. She's never played Gears of War. She's sat and watched me play it. She's never played BioShock, but she watches me play it and we discuss it. But she still wants to play the little Marios or the Zeldas and the proper games as such, the proper children's games. Because I know as a parent, as an adult, we've discussed gaming and we always discuss it, and I can see that she isn't affected by it. Some people might argue and say, oh, well, she is. Well, no, I'm sorry. I live with the child, she's my daughter, and I know she's not by the way she reacts in real life. And like I say, I would stop it immediately if I thought for a split second that she was affected.
Yep, great point.
Yeah, this is just... excuse me. This is just maybe worthy of just slightly wandering off the main topic here. And this comes down to the perception of gaming as well, doesn't it? I was talking about this, oddly enough, with my mum. And I was saying that a lot of people still consider video games a child's toy. Pure and simple. It's something for kids. Now, as we all know, with console prices as high as $600, £600, to as low as 180 for the Wii?
175,
well,
I think.
Pretty reasonable. These games now, and especially with content of Games Day, Halo, Rainbow Six, BioShock, God of War, stuff like that, and to some extent maybe Metroid Prime, but is the perception of games important to this as well with your kids? What do you guys think to that?
I mean, as we all know, it's a matter of fact, like I discussed earlier about my mother and father-in-law, they detest the fact that I play games, and they absolutely would shoot me on the spot because I let my child play games. They hate it. And I can even sneakily say now, I actually quite chuckle to myself if they come to pick her up and she's playing on a DS or she's playing a game. I actually just sit there and smile, and I don't lift a finger. I know that's horrible and vindictive, but it's just a perception that their generation has got. Like you started the subject there. How is gaming perceived nowadays? And like I say, I'm an old games player, and you still get their generation looking at you like, what is this silly old man sat playing a game for? And they haven't got the same perspective. We all know the average age of gaming now has moved on. When I started playing games 15, 20 years ago, I think the average age of a computer gamer was about 17, 18. I think the average age now, hasn't it rose to just over 30, I think I heard last. I mean,
yes, it's slightly over 30.
Yeah, I mean, that in itself should be able to point to any of the older generation. One simple rule: you go and see what the average age of computer gamers, as such, are today, and it's 30 plus. No, it's not, kids. We've moved on, and I hate it that the older generation does see it as silly gaming, as they call it.
Yeah, I think if you look at it this way, it's kind of that age-old question. People have been saying forever, why are my kids doing things that they can't, do long term or make a career in, or any of that kind of stuff. And for the longest time, I think the way people looked at gaming was, it's a toy, it's a hobby, it's something that you do to have fun, which, yes, it certainly is all of those things. But I think one of the major changes in our world is that now I can honestly say, that my son, who is consumed by gaming, may actually have a future in the gaming industry. The opportunities are there. Yes, it's a very difficult field to get into, but the opportunities are there for him to make a living with gaming. And so I think there's that shift that's starting to happen from games are, well, and it's been happening for a while, but games are just games, to now games are yet another avenue that kids can pursue success in life, basically.
Yeah, and as we all know, it's a very, very well-paid job. I was just going to say, a point we should bring up, I think, as well, and we have slagged it off in the past in past shows. I think we've got to stand here in somewhere and hold his hands up and congratulate Nintendo, because let's face it, the Wii in all its glory, or should we say that we've argued it's not catering to the hardcore gamer, which it isn't. I think that's openly known now, and it's a true fact. But I think we've got to stand here now and actually, hold his hands up and say, now wait a minute, Nintendo are getting games out to the older generation, and if nothing else, let's hope it stretches it out and opens it out to the older generation. We all know now that there's the grandmas out there picking the Wii tennis up and having a right go now, and I hope that it does bring these so-called anti-gamers, because that's what they are. Let's just, at least if it makes them sit there and say, oh well, I'll have a little go of that. Let me have a little go with my granddaughter or something. That's a good thing, and in a way, I'm glad Nintendo are moving that way, definitely. But as regards the kids and letting them play, I keep hoping that you're going the right way, like you've just said. Who knows? There could be a future in the gaming industry for us children, and it is a very, very well-paid job. So, have you anything else to say?
Well, yeah, I like one of the concerns that I do have with my kids is that they are going to wind up being couch potatoes. Haha, yeah, Idaho jokes. I get it. I'm from Idaho, everybody. They're going to be couch potato jokes, and my kids are going to gain weight, and they're going to be overweight, and they're going to be unhealthy, and it's going to lead to this really sedentary lifestyle where they don't do anything. And I think I love the fact that the Wii and Nintendo, they're coming out with Wii Fit, and even though I'm not personally interested in any of those things, I like that they're coming out with those kinds of things, because it just gives the gaming industry and the people that play games more variation. It gives them the ability to get off the couch. The Wii in general, that's what it is. It's a way to get up, get yourself a little bit more active. Granted, it's not the same as going, and playing football, or it's not, exercising, or any other kind of physical activity you go outside. It's not quite the same, but it's a whole lot closer than the gaming industry's ever been. So I like that they're doing those kinds of things. I think that's a really positive move for the gaming industry.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Although we do slag the Wii off at times for being very kiddie, at least it is making people get off the backsides.
Good. It's a really good move. I like that.
All right, I think we're going to break the show rule of going over an hour here, because this topic is actually quite fascinating. I'm just going to bring up... we mentioned them earlier. I'm going to mention it, and I apologise. This guy does not deserve any more coverage than what he gets. But Jack Thompson, and his going on and on. And not just Jack Thompson. We have them here. We have them all over going on. Video games are bad. Video games cause violence. Video games this. Video games that. All this, and I'm going to say it, bollocks. He's going on about video games cause violence in our young children, and this, that, and the other, and teaching them bad morals. And I think it's fair to say that you both have different approaches to gaming with your children. But how do you guys feel about basically guys saying this kind of manure?
The do-gooders, as I call them. Well, if you've not listened to this week's game podcast, GameSpot podcast UK version, they've actually brought a story up this morning that quite alarmed me, that apparently in the UK, there's one of the politicians, I can't remember who it was just at the minute, but apparently they're close to getting elected in some sort of way, that they are actually
Can I just jump in, Toz? That's David Cameron, the leader of the Conservative Party, I believe.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, David Cameron. I knew it was serious. David Cameron, who is probably looking like could be the next Prime Minister in this country. He has openly vowed to completely change the way the rating systems run in this country, because he is, to quote his talk, I think, he said that, "I'm alarmed that there has only ever been 2 games banned in the UK." I mean, if he does get in, and it does sound like he could, he is going to cause big ruckus in the UK gaming industry, is the rumour, because he is planning on passing laws to the fact that he is going to make the rating system a lot stricter. So basically, I really think we could be heading on dangerous ground in the UK. And I will admit something here, and we're talking about the children and the way of the games. When you hear Manhunt being banned and things like this, and I'll go on the argument side for Manhunt, where that is a game that's got banned. I did play Manhunt 1. Yes, some of the things in there, you sat there 1 minute and thought, wow, that was a bit mad. But I'm going to say this. There are games out today that we are playing today, and I'll use Gears of War, one of the most successful games in the past 2 years. Nobody can sit here and tell me now, if there was going to be a do-gooder themselves, that walking up to somebody with a chainsaw and splitting them down the middle with blood gushing out all over the screen, you simply tell me now how that game has got past where Manhunt has not. That, to me, I've sat back and thought about this again and again and again, and I cannot understand how a game like that can get through with such graphic detail, and Manhunt gets banned. And it's to do with these do-gooders. They're going to cause, well, they're trying to cause. Look, gladfully in America, Jack Thompson isn't succeeding in a big way, which is good news. I just hope that it doesn't get over here with the silly Conservative leader.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with a really succinct and short answer here. Instead of taking a look at the things that our kids do and the effect that those things have, how about we start taking a look at the parents? You know, I work in education, and I'm really, this is a whole nother subject, and I don't even know if I want to get into this, but I
know exactly where you're going.
really get tired of people who are either elected officials or want to become elected officials or have some kind of, platform that they want to speak from. I'm sick and tired of people not looking at parents. It's the same with like achievement scores in school. You know, in the United States right now, that's huge. Everybody, our kids have to achieve, and yeah, it's good, but everybody looks at what job are the teachers doing and how's it going at school and all those kinds of things. And instead, how about we take just a peek at what's happening with parents? And everybody's just got done listening through. Toz and I both talk about how we parent our kids, but and how actively involved we are in their gaming. So I mean, I don't know. It really infuriates me to not look at the lack of supervision, the really poor role modeling that go. I mean, we could go on and on with this subject. It just, I don't know. It just, oh man, I don't even want to go any farther. Somebody take over.
Okay, hang on. For count to 10, and I'll jump in here. I actually want to come in this because you did make a great point here. We're forever and it's been the same for a long time. First it was music, then it was comic books, and then it was Dungeons and Dragons, and violent movies, and violent TV shows. When are we going to start blaming things and when are these people going to start taking responsibility for their own actions? Now that is important. This is one of the things that was going to get us all fired up, and this is why I'm kind of extending this topic and letting us go over our usual running time. But this is, I think, important that we do need a serious conversation about this kind of thing. Toz, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, I mean, Falonzo's spot on. I mean, it is 100% the parents' fault. I will argue to the ends of the earth about this subject. That is no way, there's no other situation that it can be. It is the parents. We have just discussed where I know for a fact if my child was being affected by the games, it would stop. I also know that we're seeing somebody being sliced up in Gears of War isn't going to make her go out on the backyard and slice the nearest cat in half, because I know she's an intellectual child that me as a parent has taught her what's right and what's wrong. These morons who are saying, basically, oh my God, he murdered so-and-so because he played Gears of War. Absolute bullshit. Come and look at my ass for a week, because I've got a 9-year-old child here that would probably tell you more, and probably, if we're being honest, knows more than they do altogether. You know, it's a game. It's gaming. It doesn't turn them into mental murderers. Never has done. Never will do. Society, parenting, and life itself turns people into murderers, not computer games.
Yeah, it's that big R word. It's responsibility. Like you said, kid, you said it perfectly. Nobody wants to take responsibility for anything that happens. You know, hey, it can't be my fault. Not at all.
Yeah, can I just jump in here? I want to make. I'm going to tell you a little story now. This happened 2 months ago, I believe. I live just outside a town called Ilkeston, and they're from the UK. Careful, Toz. Let me get this story out. Those from the UK. It's near Nottingham. Anyway, I had a friend over, and I walked her home. Now, it's not something a lot of people do these days, but I walk home, make sure, it's only 2 miles, it's not far, make sure she gets home. And we took a shortcut through a park, and it's not that bad as it sounds. She got home safe, and I headed home. And on my way home, I was attacked by 5, and they weren't even the teens, but we're not talking 17, 18, 19, we're talking 13, 14, 15, and I was attacked by 5 of them. To the point where I was kicked to the ground. I had my head split open, requiring that my head was actually superglued and not stitched, which isn't very pleasant. But I can't help but sitting there thinking, who the hell is letting their kids go out and do this kind of thing? Because you kind of sit and think, well, you kind of wish those kind of kids were playing video games, because you know what? At least they won't be out on the street corners beating the crap out of somebody.
Spot on. I mean, this is going away from the subject slightly, but you're spot on. I mean, today's society is horrendous, and these clans are going to try and point out that it's computer gaming that's causing it. Not even close. Not close. I myself, and I'm a big lad, and I'm not frightened of anybody, but I would not now seriously venture out across any park, and I don't live in a rough area, but I would not venture out in any park today after 10 p.m., after 9 p.m. if we're being honest. And that purely points to society. Society today, like you say, teenagers, 12 and 13, going back, and we're only going back probably, 10, 15 years. If I even dreamt of doing anything like that to an older person when I was out playing, I would get the biggest good hiding off my father that I ever received. And I knew as a child, as a teenager growing up and being outside, I knew what was right from wrong. And it brings us all the way back to responsible parenting. And that is all what it is. I knew it was wrong to do anything stupid. And more to the point, I wouldn't even dream of doing it because I knew that I would get a bigger good hiding that I was probably thinking of doing. It's society, it's parents. You've got to know what your teenagers are doing. And like you've just said, I'd rather have my teenagers sat in front of an Xbox 10 hours a day than outside up to the hell that goes on today.
Yeah, you know what, and it's kind of interesting. We've now almost come completely full circle, because it does come back to parenting, and it comes back to, if you are a parent that games, what kind of a model are you? How actively involved are you in your kids' lives? If you are, because I think what we're really talking about is parents who are over-involved in their own lives and just don't have time, for whatever reason, for their kids or for parenting their kids. And so, again, it just goes back to, you got to find that balance. You need to make sure that your kids and your family and parenting is the priority, and then any of those other things that you do in your life, yes, go do them, but don't let them consume you. Don't let them take over your life to the point where you've got 12 and 13 and 14 and 15-year-old kids running around beating up kid in Britain.
I mean, probably. I mean, like you've just said, coming back full circle, having your child playing games is simply, to me, there's nothing wrong with it, and I don't see it as that. I mean, I was going to say to you, do you actually see anything wrong at all about your child playing games? I mean, I don't. My wife and her mother and father sometimes will sit and say, it's not good for you. You're sitting about. I actually don't see it like that. That's because, yeah, probably I'm a gamer. You know, and I don't see anything wrong. I think it's a and we know it is. It is good for the sensors. It's been proven to be. And it is good for the reactions and things like that. And I just wish the more older type generation, these so-called do-gooders, would actually sit back a minute and stop trying to preach their rubbish that they're trying to preach and actually see it from a different point of view. And like I say, gaming doesn't turn people into murderers. Society turns people into murderers. They should stand back and watch what children do in games. Watch the faces. Watch the reactions. I know damn well that my child sits here and she loves it. She is smiling. She's happy. She's laughing. And to me, what more do you want me as a parent to give my child? She's laughing. She's enjoying herself. She can't wait to play Guitar Hero. I've got it back today for the first time after lending it out. She'll be absolutely ecstatic when she walks through the door and sees the guitar on the floor. And I know for a fact she'll want to play it. It's happy. It's a laugh. It's joyful. It's fun. Not all this ramble rubbish that these come out with.
Do you suppose this is going to qualify for our co-rant of the week, maybe?
Yeah,
I
probably.
think
It's a good one.
I want to come in and say this has been perhaps one of the most interesting topics we've discussed, and I think this is probably one we're going to have to come back to again. It's definitely worth going into even more detail, and like I said, I've let us go over our normal time limit. I know I like to keep the show under an hour, and we're well over that now, but I think it was worth it for this discussion, and it's something that we are going to have. We will keep coming back to, sometimes not by choice, but some of the crap that is spewed by a lot of these people. And as we've all said, take responsibility for your actions, people. That's the important thing. As Toz, and you can't disagree. My two guests, Toz, my co-host, and my guest this week, Falonzo, have got different ways of doing things, but they work out. And you might have another way. I mean, if you agree or disagree with us, email in the show. Let us know. Let us know what you think. I think this is definitely something we'll come back to. All right. So shall we leave this topic there before any of us explode anymore?
Good gracious, I hope so.
Good topic, though.
Very good topic. All right. Let's hopefully hope for something a bit more light-hearted. Yes, this week it's back. It's Toz's Rant of the Week.
Yeah, I'm back from a mini rant. Waked up in plenty of time. It's nothing big, but basically, story that's broke today on the release of Tiger Woods Golf 08. And my rant of the week is, how long are we going to accept shoddy, pathetic, unfinished games? The PC used to be the bane of all evil. I stopped playing that, stopped paying for games on the PC because it was just an accepted thing that games came out unfinished. But this week we've seen the release of Tiger Woods from EA 08, and apparently it has probably been voted already as the most atrocious, unworking product ever released on the 360. And I think it's unacceptable. Basically, if you've all played the demo, it has got new things with photo game face, using the vision camera, or even, as they say, use your digital camera, upload it to the EA site, and then download it onto your Xbox. Well, apparently it's not working. The EA servers, as usual, are not working. But we're still to come out this game. As Tiger Woods golf fans out there probably already know, one of the parts of the game is called Tiger Challenge, and it's a very big part of the game, as it does actually evolve your golfer and get him on to higher levels. And basically, we've found out this week that there is a bug in the game where it crashes at exactly the same time on everybody's game, therefore making Tiger's Challenge unfinishable, therefore making the game unfinishable. And also, we've found out this week that as regards repairing Tiger Woods 07 that had glitches, it is still where single players are suffering from glitches, golfers vanishing altogether, taking drops when they weren't supposed to, and apparently the analog sensitivity has been changed. I've also heard this week that basically the demo that was released on Marketplace last week is actually better than the full product. I can vouch for the demo, very good. But I am just sick and tired of these game companies not only releasing year after year the same game with a little few knobs on, but to release a product that is absolutely unfinished, not playable, and this buggy is quite frankly unacceptable, and in my opinion they should be prosecuted for it. They are taking money for a product that simply does not work. I've also heard, maybe true, maybe not true, that I have heard that the Tiger Woods Challenge bug is not fixable. To me, they should be recalling this game and offering free replacement when it is fixed. Unacceptable, EA, and should be fixed shortly. Recalled. It's pathetic. We're paying for a product that does not work.
You know, last week I took back most of the nasty things I ever said about EA because they started doing something creative. Well, thank you, EA, for proving that I was right all along. Alright, thank you, Toz, for your rant of the week, and let's move on to our shout-outs and listener mail. Alright, does anybody have any shout-outs that they want to do this week? This would be a good time to shout out your wife again, I think.
Not for me, but I bet Falonzo will shout out his wife, no doubt.
Yeah, again, Mrs. Lonzo, you know who you are. You know I love you dearly. And not just because you bought me BioShock, but that's just one of the extra added bonuses. Also want to give a shout out to some of my buddies over at Achievement Junkie, the Nevis, Van Red, of course, Fester, all the other people, Dorkfish. Can't believe he's not here the week I'm here. That's great. And everybody else. I've been playing some online stuff with people, and it's been fantastic. So those are pretty much... Well, and you know what? I need to shout out my kids. They've been listening to these shows with me, and they were so excited that I was going to record with you guys. So, Mini Lonzos, all of you, I love you guys. Keep gaming.
Mini Lonzos, shout out to you from me as well, and to Mrs. Falonzo. You probably are going down in history as the coolest wife for buying your husband BioShock. That's pretty damn cool, so shout out to you as well. I will give out two other shout outs. One to Psycho Harry from Achievement Junkies for finally noticing that I do a podcast, which was quite funny when he noticed. And to a friend I had to tell last night, Drunken Shaman, as well. Thank you for joining the podcast listening crew, so thank you very much. Alright, there's just a slightly serious shout out I want to do, and it's actually a football one. And Toz is probably going to be able to guess what this is about, but during the week, Nottingham Forest were playing a Carling Cup match at home to Leicester City, and the match was abandoned at half-time due to the fact that the Foxes defender Clive Clark collapsed and I believe suffered a double heart attack and is currently in hospital. And I'd just like to say that as a Forest fan, I hope he recovers from this, and that I hope he'll be back playing soon. So just a serious shout out there for Clive Clark of Leicester City Football Club.
Yeah, here, and I think I've actually heard, Kid, that he has actually been released from hospital this week as well. Doing okay, apparently.
Oh, that's good. Alright, moving on. We've got some great news for you. The Cranky Gamers. We have a website, finally. Woohoo! And woohoo for Mrs. Falonzo. She'll get that joke. Yes, you can now go and view the Cranky Gamers website at crank.moonfruit.com. That's crank, CRANK.moonfruit.com. That's where you can find the now home of the Cranky Gamers. So you can leave us messages on our message board, check out some of the other shows that we listen to and our friends. You can even see what we look like. I'd like to point out that I look like Colin Farrell, and Toz looks like a very young, well, a slightly older Leonardo DiCaprio. Isn't that right, Toz?
Oh, yeah, spot on, mate. You come and look at the pictures.
I'm sorry, even I can keep a straight face during that.
Hey, if it gets some hits to the website, brilliant.
All right, okay, and I'm sorry about that. I'll probably deafened half our listeners using headphones there. All right, and if you want any questions or comments, you can email us at crankygamersuk@gmail.com. That's crankygamersuk@gmail.com. And if you can't quite tell what I'm saying, if you look in the comments on the properties of this MP3, you'll find it there. And that's what one listener did. He emailed us in. So, Falonzo, did you want to say something?
Oh, yeah, I had to add one more extra special shout-out, and that's to my buddies, Kid, Dogg, and Toz, for having me on the show this week. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Just feed the egos. But as I was saying, one of you, our first listener mail has come in from, I've just got to pull this up, yeah, from Craig Wagner. Craig Wagner emails us in, and this is what he wrote. I was listening to the rant of the week on the 8th of the 12th show about online achievements. While I agree in principle with the rant, I need to ask, if a person is not connected to live, why does he care what his gamer score is? It isn't shared with anyone. He's the only person who will ever see it, and once he is connected to live such that his gamer score can be seen by others, at that point he has the ability to get the extra achievements points. So, Toz, that was your rant. Is there anything you want to say on that?
Yeah, he has got a good point. Obviously, if you're not connected to live or go on live, that the achievement score shouldn't appeal to you that much, and I do see your point, but I come back to what I was saying in the rant. I just don't think it's fair that the companies are... It's all been known that achievement points should have a 1,000-point base for every game, which we've known for quite some time, and we all know it's taken off in a massive way. And I just still feel that the companies should offer 1,000 gaming points to the game fully and not involve online play at all. For these people that don't take part in online play, there are people that's got gold that don't play online games, they use it for other stuff. I just think that the game should have 1,000 points straight for single offline play. If they want to chuck some online achievements on it, chuck an extra 250, 300 just for online. I just don't like it taking 3/4 of my single player game where I've got to go online, and let's face it, the most online achievements that are in all these games are crazy, like kill somebody 10,000 times. I mean, even me, who's a cranky mad gamer, will not be there killing somebody 10,000 times for 20 points. It just needs separating. I'd just like that 1,000 points for every single game. But hey, thanks for the mail. Brilliant to hear from you, and let's have more.
Yeah. So, folks, there you go. Proof that if you email us in or leave us messages on a message board on the website, that we will probably give you a shout out and read what you say. So, again, thank you to Craig Wagner. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I apologise if I'm not. So, shout out to Craig Wagner for being our first show mail listener. Not only can you email us, but if you also want to send us an MP3, if you keep it to under 2 minutes, you can send that to our email address as well. Alright then, we've gone on a hell of a lot longer than we normally do. It's been an especially interesting and cranky episode excuse me, this week. So first off, I'd like to thank Falonzo, the Meat Shield, the man, the myth, the Meat Shield, for joining us on this week. Thank you, Falonzo.
Yes, thank you for having me, and everybody, I am truly a Meat Shield. I'm horrible at online games, so if you see me on, if you want your gamer score or just your ego pumped up, see if you can get into my game, because I suck.
You can't be that bad.
I beat him 14-0 in Rainbow Six.
I'll have to join him. We'll have to get a game together this week.
Yeah, I can kick both your asses.
By the way, just want to add a point to the end of this show that nobody's mentioned that I thought could be quite relevant for you gamers. Not for me, because I've got rid of it. The Gears of War maps have gone free.
Not yet, but they are free soon.
Somebody posted yesterday, I found, on one of the message boards, it said they are up now free for download. Whoa. So I'm just going by a message board message.
I think it's Labor Day weekend or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the official. I didn't buy them, so I've been watching this. I can't remember the official time, but it's like early morning, the 3rd or the 2nd. It's not quite yet. The person that posted that was wrong, but it's going to be. I think it's going to be within the next 48 hours for sure.
I apologise for that, but yeah, I knew it was close. I was just going by the fact that I thought they'd released them earlier, but I know they was coming. Sadly, I've got rid of Gears, so I'll have to try and pick that up again.
Yeah, so have I. And I just want to say, it's just a strange time to have the maps go free, like 20 days before the arrival of Halo 3.
But then again, I still say that I don't think Halo will be doing as well as everybody's thinking, but that's my opinion.
And that's all it. And in the end, that's all it is. All right then. And again, thank you to the crankiest gamer in the UK, especially cranky today after Liverpool thrashed Derby County 6-0.
Yeah, the crankiest gamer today. Not next week because it's England, but I promise the week after we will be beating the Geordies of Newcastle. I promise.
He hopes.
Promises.
You know what they say, don't make a promise you can't keep. All right, and I want to thank you all, one and all, for listening to the show. I've been your host, Kid Dog. Until next week, stay cranky. Kick it!
We are the masters of this disaster.